on the newsletter where they'll be able to go look at the video
Okay,
online or request
thank you.
to either rent it or go to the local library.
John,
Other questions, Rod?
I just wanted to say that I'm pleased that we got that Mack truck in. I know every once in a while we'll say, well, let's buy a new fire truck, and how important that is. That is a huge, major, important piece of equipment. It's gonna change your guys' lifestyle down there with that thing, things it'll do for you, won't it?
Yeah, not only stormwater, but sanitary sewer and water. We're out cleaning wet wells, which is lift stations for sanitary sewer. The grease buildup and other debris problems that we run into. Typically, we source that out to contractors via small works roster, as well as cleaning mainline sewer to keep those lines open and not have failures or blockages. There's a Hydro X portion on the truck where you can actually Hydro X depending on the soil. So rather than excavating with a backhoe / track, you can actually Hydro X and suck the material, which is nice for not getting into conflicts with the gas and power and other utilities of the
Safety
world.
factor is huge in that.
Yeah. So there's a lot of features. They actually just did a Hydro X down on the port, which is all fill material but sand. Hydro X straight down and did a stormwater repair. So it's
I realize the budget's tight, but that was a good expenditure. That's just gonna, lots of manpower hours.
And we did,
Well-
and I've been working with RJ, there was an original pass-through from Department of Ecology for $50,000. The second round pass-through is right around $107K. So we're acknowledging that revenue, putting that towards a one-time purchase, which is less reporting requirements for us rather than an ongoing project or design phase project. So we've been working hard with Ecology on that.
Other questions for Trevor on the rate study? Okay, moving along, easement right away with Clark Public Utilities.
Yeah, I actually had to go out and do a site visit on this today. It's at 30th Street. It says E Street, but it's actually where E Street takes off from Evergreen Way behind the Minute Mart. And it comes south on 32nd Street. They have power lines that go through that intersection. Some of their high voltage lines, I believe. I'm gonna follow up with city attorney with legal review. I did get a preliminary memo from him today that it looked good. I just wanna clarify on the $10. I don't know if that's the canned $1 or $5 that CPU's attorney would put in place for.
Typo, we never.
I know.
Yeah.
Expenditures, so.
I thought it was a recording.
I
Some,
was hoping they were
yeah,
paying us.
showing compensation for an easement granted. However, we do have franchise agreements with other utility providers within city limits, so I'll follow up on that. But preliminary review from city attorney's office looks good with what CPU provided or is requesting. If there's no questions on that, I will give a quick E Street update. We opened bids last week on Thursday. We had 11 bidders from Vancouver, Portland, Salem, Puyallup, Seattle, you name it. We had a low bid of $4.5 million and a high bid of 6.1. The engineer estimate is 6.1, which without contingency, it's right around 5.8. So we're pretty close to 20% below engineer estimate for the project. Should have handed these out before I went through the UFS material, huh?
You want me to
Timing and everything.
You want me to take it around?
So that we
I'll do that.
avoid issues of
Sure, run that one.
non-qualified, would you explain the process so that since we have to take the low bid, kind of thing,
Right.
they're qualified to do this work even though they're. the
Right,
low
there's
bidder?
pre-qualifications that are specified in the bid docs. There's also deliverables for disadvantaged business, enterprise, paperwork. I believe late last year, early this year, we adopted the E-Verify for any contractor, consultant doing work over $100,000, so we'll have the E-Verification as well attached to the project. With all of these submittals and requirements, if they're tight and conform with city and state law, city responsible for taking low responsible bid. Now, the low bid right now is apparent. It isn't for sure yet. The draft letter of notice of award isn't official yet, but it does look like everything is shaking out with the low bid at this
Well,
point.
the reason that I even asked that is that with the contractor that went across the Washougal River,
Yeah.
I want to make sure we don't go down that road.
Right. So there's a bid tab list as well that includes all 11 bids. We had, I think, 4 or 5 bids that were under 5 million in a tight cluster, which is good to see. The low bid not being siloed by itself, and then upwards to close to the engineer estimate. I did a little bit of follow-up on West Tech if they are awarded the project and ultimately given the notice to proceed. They're currently doing a project in Northwest Portland on 23rd Street. I'm sure a few of you are familiar with that. Pottery Barn and a few restaurants, very busy street. They're doing very similar stormwater / sanitary sewer improvements there rather than water line. But look like they're doing a good job for the city of Portland, and they have links to the project that they're doing and cost and project management, so.
Is that something that Jeff would know about to talk to?
Depends on what
Risk
it's getting
management,
into, if
is
it's
it-
getting into the water side.
Yeah, I think that's more sanitary sewer improvements and then curb gutter sidewalk enhancement or repair on 23rd, so.
David, do you have any issues with your background with any of these things? Have you had specific questions you brought out and identified?
On a road project, not specifically. My background is structural engineering, so buildings and structures. But I'm confident in Brady's analysis. I can actually almost read.
Glad you can.
The spreadsheet.
Really?
We should have highlighted the total
Right.
with the add alternate. So the 4.5 million, just to clarify, which is 1.3 to 1.5 below the engineer estimate, does include a full reconstruct at River Road and E Street, which is curb and gutter, as well as asphalt, not just a micro seal, which is proposed for the rest of the corridor, east and west of the intersection. It also includes the water line improvements. I was asked after the meeting what the exact cost was for the water line improvement, which there's a line item for that, for materials, but it's hard to quantify when there's built-in flagging, traffic control, other elements of the project that'll have impact specifically on the water line improvement. But that one, you can rest assured, came in below the engineer estimate as well, and most likely made the project more competitive.
There were a group of bidders very close.
They were real
They
tight
were.
numbers.
For almost $5 million, we're talking just over $100,000.
Tight,
So they've
which
got
is-
some pretty sharp pencils
Which
going
is
out
good
there.
to see, rather than seeing a siloed low bidder, not
Right.
saying that they wouldn't be responsive and responsible, but having that cluster to a certain extent gives you that validation or verification that
exactly.
it's good numbers, so,
Yeah.
Do you know, was West Tech at the opening?
yes.
They never said a word.
No, I think within an hour, they have to submit their subs, and so within the hour, they came back and submitted their subs, and we'll be in touch.
Where are they out of?
Portland.
Portland. They were the last bid in, the first bid open, and all the rest, and you could just see people as Trevor's opening one, 4 point, there's this little lull there, higher, lower, higher, lower.
I didn't pause too much. I just